All right, all right. Welcome to the Building Doctor Show. I'm your host, Jens Johansson. I'm glad to see you here to learn more about your buildings. Welcome to fall. Today we're talking everything about how to autumn armor your building, and that has to do with fall maintenance. So if you're joining us on the podcast today, thanks for listening, but you're missing out on the great slide content. We're going to see lots of stains and cracks and freeze thaw issue. So if you'd like to watch the show for the full experience, visit our website, j2consultants.com, to register for the Building Doctor Show and attend live via Zoom and submit your questions for answer. So we're also happy to announce that the Building Doctor Show is now live on YouTube and all your favorite Audible and Spotify and all those fun channels as well. So you can also put your questions there and comments in the chat, and we will get those answered for you. So today we're talking about how to get your building ready for the wetter months. And we've prepared a whole checklist for you. Be sure to be watching the chat. Carolyn, the producer, is going to be really putting lots of guides in there, lots of links, lots of DIY, do it yourself, or even done for you links. So we have some of that as well. If you're attending live and here to ask questions, be sure to use that Q&A button and type your question in there. And because at the end we have the live Q&A, and that really helps the whole audience learn, and it helps guide our show. And so, of course, we'll be doing the free raffle giveaway. Stick around for that. And remember, this show is for educational content only. We're not giving you legal or financial advice. So let's get into it. So the importance of fall maintenance, we're going to cover that. We're going to talk about how we start with these physical inspections and in how to address leaks and things like that. So the whole goal of this show is to give you the resources and timing triggers to get your community ready for the fall and winter weather. So again, make sure you put your questions into the Q&A and watch the chat feature for links. So we've got, a lot of questions around this time of year. What should be on my fall maintenance checklist? Is it really necessary to service the HVAC system or the heat pumps? My neighbor had bad ice dams last year. I don't want ice damming this year, or clogged gutters and things like that. And are those little foam cups you put over the exterior hose bibs, are those enough? Do those really work? Or do I need to call a plumber and do these types of things? So we'll cover that ground here. And so everybody watching, you get thanks to Kelly for my AI imaging spoof of Game of Thrones. We've got Winter is Coming, and my version of Eddard Stark. I just need to get a big sword there to fight off the winter. So we're at the end of September. So this is the last few days in September. You're gonna be bringing these questions and these lists and these kind of hey, I attended this webinar last week. You're gonna be bringing these questions to the October board meeting, likely. And so we want to make sure that we've got a little bit of time in there. So why is seasonal maintenance so important? Well, we've had a break. Our building hasn't had to work all summer except for the AC side of cooling. And so we've had our windows open, so our fans haven't needed to operate, the whole house fans. We've had our patio doors and everything just wide open, getting lots of fresh air. There's lots of good air exchange. The birds have built nests in some of our fireplace flues because there's no hot smoke coming out of them, and that looks like a great place to build a nest. Our dryers are accumulating lint. The furnace filter wasn't clean from when it turned off in the spring, and it's still dirty. So if those things are still dirty, our furnace is going to be working harder. And the temperature's dropping and daylight is fading away. So the ability to do some of this work when I get home after hours is diminishing because I don't want to do any of this in the dark. And so now is the time to get ready. So kind of the biggest challenges buildings face in the winter is obviously it's wet and it's kind of cold. The building doesn't get a chance to dry out. The sealants are constantly getting pounded. The wood trim, maybe it's painted, but it's still, underwater, and it's just, moss starts building up. The shorter sun seasons in the north hemisphere, roof debris is built up all summer. You don't think of leaves falling in the summer, but the wind blows and it blows things around. The chipmunks are dropping their nuts. The seagulls are dropping their shells if you're living on the coast. And just, stuff is just accumulating. And we got to get that cleaned out before it starts. And we got to kind of check everything to make sure you don't have water coming into existing cracks for that freeze thaw damage to start splitting things apart. So then the next thing, what if winter comes a little bit soon? We've all been on, Halloween where we're out trick or treating and it's starting to snow, or we've even had snow at the end of September. And so it's like, hey, wait a minute. Normally it doesn't snow around here till November or December, but what if it came a little bit early? Are you going to be stressed out? We know we're having different climate calendars and kind of changing weather patterns. So it's time to get ready for that stuff. The El Nino versus La Nina. We're going to talk about that in the next slide. Just bottom line, you'll be glad you got ahead of things and not stressed about tomorrow's weather report of, I got to do this tonight in the dark because it's going to snow tomorrow. So the goal of this is that you start making your lists, go get bids for the work, and be prepared. And so, we've got simple maintenance, visual inspections. You can do actual repair things in the fall. Yes, you can hire contractors all fall and winter. It's probably going to be really hard to get a hold of somebody after a storm. And so get that roof cleaned now because all the roofers will be busy the second it has some kind of storm. Budget season is right now. Everybody's finishing their budgets for 2025. So get these bids right now and tell the vendors to honor them for 6 months or something so you can do the work later. But yeah, you're going through the budget season stuff right now. So is there any leftover 2024 budget that, hey, needs to be spent? We were supposed to spend it this year. Now is a good time to catch up on it. Let's get that done. So this is what we're going to be talking about here. All right, El Nino versus La Nina. So El Nino is over here. It's warmer and wetter than usual, but so it has increased flooding. You keep your polar jet stream up here, and you get kind of warmer air down here, but it brings a whole bunch of wet and water to the south part. The La Nina is typically drier and colder because the cold air comes down with the jet stream. But for those of us in the Pacific Northwest, we're wetter and colder, and we're just kind of always wet but warm. And so the flooding is still an issue in both of these for us in the Pacific Northwest. But this year, the meteorologists are predicting a La Nina. And so we're going to see some of this colder, uh, weather. So that means ice. That means, wetter for those wetter. That means lots more precipitation. Dark, rainy, windy, cold nights are coming. And so this is the kind of start. Yeah, let's get a jump on this. Nobody likes to go to the dentist, but let's go to the dentist under our calendar, not my tooth hurts. And so let's let's clean up our building under our timeline instead of the emergency timeline. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to start with a physical inspection. And this is just a visual. We're not worried about pulling siding off right now. This is going to start giving you a survey and an action list to work from. So check the chats. We've got a DIY guide. You can investigate all of your buildings yourself. You can walk around and it's a one pager where you can walk around, say, oops, that doesn't look right. Why are there cracks? Why are there stains? Why are there whatever? Everybody has a camera in their pocket now on their phone. So you're just kind of baselining it and saying, look, building 3 has some weird things. then that helps you create an action list to, I think I need to call a roofer or a sider or a maintenance guy or something and get us working on that. If you're too busy and you don't want to do it, great. We have a done for you, DFY. We have a DFY link. We call it a wellness exam. That's just a very simple visual inspection by somebody with trained eyes that can walk around and go, I don't think that looks very good. And out of that will come a maintenance plan or a, kind of a to-do list for you to start getting prices on, start putting a plan together. Um, do I band? I know I'm going to fix something in 2025. What do I do to band-aid it to get me there? I don't want to start on it right now. I know I'm going to totally replace these things in 2025. Maybe I should think about a band-aid to get us to there so we can save a little bit of money or just simple time for a cleanup. Okay, so the fall maintenance guide. Okay, so things we're looking for. We're going to be looking for just big old cracks or, kind of that's not right. Or even staining in the outside of our eaves or some staining under here, under the soffit areas, or water trails and cracks in the brick, or heaven forbid, big cracks in the brick and, big spalling and things like that. That stuff you should be seeing already, but you're going to be walking around and looking for visual clues, stains and cracks. And we want to, these little cracks turn into bigger cracks when they get water in it and freeze and thaw. Expansion and contraction happens. And so we want to address these things as soon as possible. So that's exterior. We want you to look on the interior as well. Look at your foundations, look in your basements, look in your parking garages. Here's just a bunch of photos of below grade parking leaks that cause damage to cars. And so, it's concrete parking structure. What's so bad about that? Who cares if a little water comes through it? Well, when the water comes through it with a little bit of salt mixed from the concrete, it stains the cars, requiring them to go to detailing, and it costs a bunch of money. But all concrete has steel in it. So if we're getting water into that, it'll freeze thaw, it'll cause the steel to rust. These are types of clues that I'm not even on the building, but I'm looking at cars inside the building. So then we're also looking at storage unit, smells. And why does it smell musty? And oh, there is a little leak over in that corner. We want to be checking that stuff. And basements or foundations, you can hire somebody to poke their head in the crawl space or kind of look around. Why is it wet? Why is it a little damp? Why does it smell a little bit? Let's get a jump on that before wintertime. So now windows and doors. We have, lots of videos on this. This is an excerpt from one of our videos. We'll pop that into the chat. But these are your window weeps. These are your drainage. These are your drains from your windows. If these are clogged up or full of moss or any of that, you can just look. You can walk by your windows. You can stick your head out your own window and look. You can look in that window track when you open up the window. Is that full of dirt? Take your little shot back and clean that out. But if it's kind of mossy, and we'll show some pictures later of even mushrooms growing out of things, you obviously know you got to do something there. So clean the weeps and tracks, WD-40 it and lubricate it, or graphite, the hinges or mechanisms, get them working a little bit. Hey, while you're there, wash and clean your windows. So you're there, a little bit of fall cleaning. Check your sealants. And so the sealants or caulking around your windows, that helps with a lot of stuff. Proper sealing and insulation, that's the drafts and things, as well as leaks. That's what we get with sealant. And we are going to, there's going to be a link Carolyn's going to put in the chat for us there. So, here's just look around. I can look through the window and I can see peeling paint. I can see some just what's going on here. Why is this rusting? Why do I have cracks in my trim, much less chunks? Now, granted, somebody was kind of pulling at this a little bit, but you can see there's really nothing left of the trim. You can see sealant, missing sealant. That's water going to get in under the system. So this needs some attention. So I put this on a list saying windows need some work. Either right now or, next spring, and I can get working on it. Here you can see the backer rod that's behind the sealant just sticking out like a shoestring. You can see the sealant between the wood and the metal there is totally cracked. If you can pull sealant out with your fingers, it's not working anymore. Or if it's missing and not even there, it's not working anymore. So look around. Your eyes don't lie. They will show you what's going on. And that's windows and sealant. Roof and gutters. So these little things are called diverter flashings or kick out flashings. What they do is the water runs down the wall and kicks out into the gutter. So I'm the water, I'm running down and I go whoop, and now I jump into the gutter instead of running in behind the siding here. And this is what we call a roof to wall intersection. And we often see damage here. Now, that water can be running down the roof right behind the siding, or it can be the gutters are so full that the water backs up and dribbles that way instead of going down the downspout. But you can see these kickout flashings from the ground. You can walk around and go, I either see it or I don't. If I don't see it, then you may want to put that on the roof list to say, next time the roofer's out here, I want them to add kickout flashings or diverter flashings. Super important. Um, we'll get like I said, we'll get a lot of water damage at roof to wall intersections. We've got another chat video there. We've got roof to wall intersections on YouTube where we talk about this. Okay, roof and gutters. And this is, hey, full disclosure, this is my roof and gutter on the office building. And I said, it's time to clean. I got to practice what I preach. So here's a nice clean gutter. And, so just the impact of clogged gutters and roof debris is big. It's kind of every 6 months. You got to stay on it, both now and then when the leaves fall. So we've got that fall time when it all dumps. We kind of call that an event. That's a leaf event. And so, of course, you have to clean up after that. But, the next gutter washer of a rainstorm we have, put on your coat, walk around the outside. If water is coming out of your gutter versus being whisked away down the downspout, that means you have some kind of roof leak or full gutter that's not working the way it should. And so pay attention to that. Now, just, I don't know, sometimes, in this photo, I can see that debris from the ground. I can see the debris and algae and stuff like that. It's growing on the gutters. This whole valley is just full. And so we got to get up there with a broom, even probably a bristle broom, and really just scrub that junk off, get it off the roof, clean it up. This is on a pretty steep slope roof too. Obviously, on a flat roof, we want to make sure our drain bodies, this is a drain body, and this looks like an overflow set a little higher. We want to make sure our drain bodies are clear and we're not catching a bunch of dirt and debris in the corners. Cleaning that out, make sure it works right. That's a little bit of a roofer or a drain gutter cleaner can jump up there and do it. You're also going to be looking at your sealants and, just things around your sealants around your plumbing or around, some of your penetrations, around your skylights, things like that. You're just going to check it, make sure it's not cracked and broken and that it's in good shape. So this is that big fall leaf event. There's leaves everywhere. And that, of course, just has to be, don't wait for the wind to blow it. Get up there with a broom, sweep it off, check your shingles, and you kind of can walk around and see that it's okay, or hire somebody to do that for you. and again, flat roof versus slope roof, it's something that we have to do on either type. All right, let's do a quick Google search. Flat roofs with standing water. And you can this is a screen share. If you can see the ponds and the puddles and, just all this water, not to mention debris, if you can see ponding, you need to do something about it. We've got extra weight, and we also have the seepage ability seeping through the membrane. And we also have kind of the spillage of what I mean by that is in this upper corner, The edge of the roof is called a parapet or little edge of roof. In this instance, we've got just a 1 inch thing there, as opposed to this instance, we've got a bigger one and even a 2 foot tall edge. But in these low instances, when they have pooling water, the water just flows right up under that flashing and can get into the system. Now, let's if it's well installed, the roof membrane will be overlapping and drain down and things like that. But this is a big thing where we see the roof membrane come up, metal cap go on top, water seeps under, and now it's under the roof, it's into the wall cavity, it's messing with everything. And so making sure you don't have standing water. Now, this is usually caused from drains, but if it's a roof slope thing, now you have to start thinking about adding taper and things like that. But you'll get birds up there, their debris and their things they bring up onto the roof clog things up. We also have lots of little penetrations from various, mechanical fixtures, things like that. We don't want water going into it. So, Googling away. Okay, now kind of on the inside or maybe some common areas or even on the outside, I'm looking for evidence of water. So here I'm looking up at the outside roof soffits and I can see just mildew and just yuck. Why is this getting this way? So you can hire a roofer and they can look at the edges of your roofing, the edge metal, the various, it could be a ventilation problem. It could be a variety of things, but I can see that from the ground. I can walk around and go, yeah, that's an issue. Get it taken care of. Obviously on the inside, water staining means roof leaks. These are on top floors, I assume. And so we got something to follow up with there. And then if I can see the roof and I can see pond grass growing out of the drain, yeah, you got you got a problem there. If I've got this isn't a green roof. It's not supposed to be a green roof. That's not part of the design there. So take a look at that. Okay, here's another just kind of Google search of roof and gutters. We've got ponding, we've got more ponding, more ponding. I mean, we're starting to get a lake here and all the moss, the buildup. Look at that. That's beautiful, beautiful water reflection off the top of the roof. But yeah, it's not supposed to be that way. And then the dark staining, there's no water there, but there's a bunch of dark staining. So that's all the dirt that is puddled there. The puddle has since evaporated, but these stains give you an indication that there's something there. You might want to check into that. And what a good roof looks like. So yeah, it should be clean. Okay, here's our good photos. Decks and patios. Okay, this is on the inside. If you have mushrooms growing on the inside of your unit, yeah, this is pretty bad. Okay. We've got real swollen trim. It's all cracked and split. Obviously, water stained flooring. There's leaks going on around the sliding glass door and how this sliding glass door is installed. We've got a paver system. Looks really good on top, but the dirt comes down between these joints and we get a bunch of debris under there. And that's where the water is supposed to drain out. So remember, if you've got pavered systems, you have some type of waterproofing below it and some type of drain below it. So you want to check these paver systems probably every 3 years just to kind of make sure there's not a lot of dirt or, however often, if you got a bunch of flower pots out and you're always digging in there and the dirt falls and it gets swept down the cracks of the paver, you probably have more. But this is a drainage cavity below this paver system. So that could be on your roof, rooftop deck, walkways, plaza decks, etc. Check your pavers and clean underneath them. And then just be able to, walk around and if you can put your hand under that slider and feel the edge of the membrane there and kind of pull it up with your fingers, that's not watertight. And so you're gonna get water in there. And so take a picture, note where it is, tell your maintenance person to take care of that. This also applies to railings, railing post bases, all sorts of things. But yeah, let's not let it get to the mushroom stage. All right, landscaping tips. We want to also make sure our sight drains and culverts and things like that are working well. And so this culvert on the top is already half covered with leaves, and there's more dirt and debris in the gutters. It's ready to go in there when it gets a bunch of site water pushing down there. So this needs a shovel and a broom. Clear this drain out so that it can work. Um, here's a culvert trench that's supposed to take water away, and it's half full of dirt. And we want to make sure that we get that stuff cleaned out. While you're at it, think about the pressure washing and your walkways, your decks, again, your plaza decks, your common area uh, surfaces. They get really slippery. We have a bunch, with algae and moss. We have a surprising amount of slip and fall claims. And when we go out and look at it, it's just, man, this hasn't been pressure washed in 10 years and it's just slimy. Or the wooden walkways in the trees, they get really slippery just with scum and algae. So cleaning that off so that when it is a dark, rainy night in end of October, you're not slipping and sliding and falling down. Let's see. So look at the site trees too. Yeah, that's a big one. If you got some limbs kind of hanging down or some trees that are leaned over, those mean power outages. So when they get a little snow on them, broken branches, that's not good. We had one building or one community next to a little stream, and the stream had this steel grate over the culvert cover to keep kids out of that culvert. But that started getting backed up with branches and things over time, and people could see that. But hey, that's not my stream. That's the city's stream, and I'm not going to go clean it out. But take a picture of it because if that's not working right and that gets clogged up, that whole stream flooded the entire site, flooded out two of the lower buildings, the first floors, ruined the elevators, ruined, it turned into a nightmare. And we're walking by that every day, going to the mailbox or whatnot. And hey, take a picture, send it to the city, tell them to clean it up. And at least you have some paperwork. I told you to clean it up in end of September, and it's now November, and my site's flooded. So you guys can help me pay for all this water damage. So kind of take a look around. Okay, more landscaping tips. Keep your mulch and building and soil and things like that away, 6 inches away from the bottom of your building. And that's a code question or a code statement. We don't want soil up against the wood framing or the wood siding. We want to keep that separation. It keeps bugs out of there. It keeps, water and things like that. Also check for slope or drainage away from the building. The worst is when we have a building and the ground goes up to an embankment or a retaining wall. So just all that water comes pooling down and sitting against the side of the building, and it doesn't have a way out. So that's where that site drainage or swaling comes in and kind of just get the water away from the building. So everybody puts mulch or bark or, makes it beautiful, but did they stack up too much? Maybe it's just taking a rake out there and cleaning it out. So, all right. In this final kind of landscaping stuff, hey, do one last weeding for the fall. Get rid of that stuff. Tell your landscape guy to take care of those broken branches. Tell him to kind of clean up and re-rake the stuff. Get that stuff figured out so that your landscaping works because that's going to be covered in snow or rain and turned to mud. And what is your landscape going to look like after it's rained for a week? What is it going to look like after the couple of snow melts? Is it going to be just a wet, muddy site, or is there going to be clean ways to walk through there and I'm not going to slip and fall? So the exterior, those styrofoam hose bib covers, we call them. These are just little foam things. You can get a 2-pack for $13 on Amazon, and you put it over. This is called a frost free hose bib. It has an expansion valve there, but it also goes into the wall, and the actual shutoff is on the other side of your insulation that's supposedly warm. But we still want to pull the hoses off for the freezing nights. But get these hose bibs, have them ready to go. You can see they have a little or hose bib covers. Have them ready to go. They have a little hook that you loop around the handle and tighten it down. You're probably not watering the lawn, over the winter months anyway, so you can disconnect the hose, you can roll it up. But leaving the hose connected, because they usually have a sprayer at the end, so that pressure stays in the hose, even though it's a frost-free thing, that all the water in the hose will freeze and push back against that valve and damage the faucet. So unscrew those faucets. Exterior lighting, check those timers, bulbs, motion sensors, all that stuff needs to be maintained. The timers are still off due to daylight savings time. So correcting them again, but then just making sure everything works so it's nice and light when you come home as the days get shorter. All right, other items, kind of a couple pages of just extra stuff. So we've got HVAC, your heating, venting, air conditioning. So that means furnace, chimneys, all these other accessories. Change and clean the filters in all of them, or just check them, changing and cleaning. Check your fireplace flue for bird's nest or buildup before you start that first fall fire if you have those. Same with the gas flues. We get birds just nesting in those flue things, and they set up a nice nest and they're undisturbed for 6 months. And the fireplace is kind of a shelter; it's a little warmer, so they set up nests in there, and then that smokes out your entire building when you turn on your flue. Time to put away the portable AC units and find those heaters. So we're kind of swapping out these things in our house. Um, Propane tank refills for outdoor heaters and fireplaces or grills or things like that. That's just on the maintenance checklist. I need to go fill up, 3 or 4 propane tanks, not just one. And so we can get all those done. Okay. Other items, we talked about the hose bibs. Sump pumps is a big thing. And so if you have a sump pump in your crawl space or in your, building somewhere, make sure it works. You can have somebody go maintain it. They typically the floats, they get scummy, they rusty, they get, so they can pull up the float or push it down and see if the pump turns on, and that way you don't have 2 months of flooding when you thought you had a sump pump, or somebody didn't see this extension cord going across the ground and unplug it, and now what you thought you had in the spring you don't have now. So just make sure those things are working. Of course, excuse me, smoke and carbon monoxide detectors, test and change the batteries. Some people just put that on their maintenance plan. I'm going to swap it out so we know things work. Fire extinguishers, they have the same kind of maintenance and service. That's all your hallways, all your lobbies, all your, places that you have fire extinguishers. Make sure you do your maintenance and service kind of on a routine basis. Emergency contacts. This is a good one. So this is, do you as a board do you know who's going to get the call? Otherwise, the board president is going to get the call. And so who is the water, cleanup vendor that you use? Is it, there's all sorts of franchise names, but who is the preferred one that knows your site? They've been there. Their billing is reasonable. They're not, gouging. And so that way we don't have, on both sides of the fence, we don't have multiple people calling multiple places, and we don't have vendors taking advantage of us, kind of gouging us in time of need. And so we can reach out to them, talk to them. Hey, can we be on your preferred list? If we have a thing, can we give you a call? So it's the same with roofers, same with snow removal companies, same with, just all these maintenance guys or roofers, roof repairs for incidental wind blow or things like that. Do we have a contact that we can call? Because after the event or after the first snowfall, all these guys are slammed. And so if you have an in with them, they will be able to help you. And maybe it's your management company. Maybe they have a maintenance department. Who is it? And so what is their phone number? Post that and give it to all the board saying, these are the people in this order you should be calling. And so, and just in case somebody's on vacation, there's there's a good story of we have a client that's a water district, and board member who's been there for 15 years is the only guy who knows how to fix the water pumps when it goes out. And so when the water pump goes out at 1 a.m., he just goes down there and takes care of it. But he's leaving. And so, hey, I'm taking off. I need to show somebody how this old archaic system works. And most people say, I don't want to do it. We'll just call somebody. And he reminds them, well, that's fine. You won't have a shower at 6 a.m. And it'll take 3 days to get on somebody's schedule. And it'll take another 2 or 3 days for them to come out. And it'll take them another 2 weeks to order the part. So understand your system or have a few people trained if you've got some old thing that you kind of keep together with common knowledge. And maybe think about, when that pump goes, I've got another pump sitting here. So I don't have to wait. I don't have to wait for we had an entire municipality flood because they couldn't get the pumps for their golf course from Belgium in time. And so they didn't have an extra one sitting on the shelf. And so these are the things you got to start kind of thinking through as a community and kind of go, wait a minute, what happens when that breaks? Let's talk about it. So, snow melt and snow shovels. Those are the number one things that you cannot find after the first snowfall. So go out today or, Amazon, and find the snow melt, at least that first bag of snow melt to get the general sidewalks, the lobby area, the garage entrance, get that stuff, be able to, deal with it. I've got one bag. We know it's in the storage room. I've got one plastic snow shovel that I can use until the snow removal company gets here, but we're not going to have chaos until then. So that first snow, all the hardware stores are sold out of all of that. It's just like your car tires. Try finding snow tires on the first day it snows. Forget about it. Price just tripled and nobody has them. So these are the things. These are the things we're talking about. So action items. I've got your homework here. So you're going to review this list of items at your next meeting. You're going to go through that little DIY guide walk around and you're going to talk about it. You're going to say, hey, I found this, I found this, I found this. What are we going to do about it? We can figure out these things. We may need some help on these things. And then let's start getting prices for it and start getting, these projects laid out. So very simple stuff. Check the guide or check the chat for all these guides that we have. And then we can keep moving here. So, yeah, the maintenance guide and the DIY and the DFY, do it yourself, done for you, will be in the chat. So we had, let's see, yeah. Does anybody this stuff sound familiar? Any questions about this fall maintenance? Do you desire board training around these topics? So we're getting more and more questions of, hey, we got an entirely new board where we have a new facilities member and we want to, can you bring them up to speed? And we can definitely do that. Let's schedule a call and talk about it. And we can offer, we've got all sorts of free training on our website, and we can also figure out some paid training for you too. So let's see, some questions that were submitted last in between shows. I saw some stains here. Should I be concerned? So here's a picture of their window weep. It is totally covered with moss and gunk. Yes, this whole track of this window is probably full of debris and goo. It is not draining correctly. You got to reach out that window with a toothpick or something and kind of get in there. What's really nice is a little bit of, flexible wire or weed whacker trimming cord, that plastic stuff, and kind of get in there and poke it around. Take your shop vac and put it right on there and suck the goo out, but also clean out that window track. Cracking, I'm not, there's cracks there at the bottom of the window. I may want to look at that. Here's an example of failed sealant. This sealant looks good, but we got to get this sealant looking good too. So I'm not too terribly concerned. Just clean your windows, replace your failed sealant. That's what failed sealant looks like. Okay, how can I improve my building's energy efficiency during fall maintenance? Well, you're probably not going to change the insulation in your walls. but you can. I mean, you can pump in more insulation and through holes in the exterior or interior. But just start working on sealing those cracks and stopping those drafts. So the sealant, a little bit of spray foam around drafts or things like that. You can install energy efficient windows. You can use storm type windows, excuse me. You can update your weather stripping around your window or around your doors. You're checking for these drafts. Hold your hand down to it. Hold a piece of toilet paper that'll flutter in the breeze and just kind of hold it around. You'd be surprised, how much air is moving through there, and start thinking about how you can fix that or call a handyman. Maintain your HVAC system again to lower heating costs and work on the furnace. Okay, so now it's Q&A time from all the live folks. I see some bubbles in there. I'm trying to find the Q&A. I do. Okay. First question. How well does snow drain off a flat roof? And is the weight a problem, or should someone get up there and shovel some? Yeah, that's kind of a two-part question. Okay, so snow doesn't really drain off a flat roof until it melts or until it slides off. And so that's why you'll see in the mountain regions, you'll see lots of steep metal roofs. But you'll also see they have snow guards, which keep all the snow from falling off suddenly. But you want to get the snow off, especially wet Pacific Northwest, heavy snow. And so if you already have kind of a old roof, and now that you've got a bunch of wet snow up there, that's a lot of extra weight. And is weight a problem? Yes, you'll start cracking drywall, you'll start bowing some of the boards, things like that. And so after 6 to 8 inches, I would probably get up there and try to broom it off or brush it off or do something. So the other piece is, remember those low parapet walls. So if we've got low walls or low, penetrations, and now I have a whole bunch of snow over it, we see a lot of skylights leak every year, where you got a little 4 inch curb, but you got 6 or 8 inches of snow. And that snow melts from the hot air coming out of that skylight, and it trickles right inside the skylight and ruins everything. And so at least clean around your skylights, try to remove the snow, hire somebody to do it. It's a slippery, miserable job. So, but if your drains are dirty and all that, gutters are dirty and all that, you're really in a predicament, because it's not going to function at all. So that's the point of today. Get ahead of it. Okay. Any other questions? Let's see. Trying to get my little button back. Give me a minute. There we go. There's another question. Nope, that was the same question. Okay, so we've answered the Q&A. If there are no more Q&A, then we'll jump into the giveaway. Ding, ding, ding. So we've got a cool J2 lunch bag, insulated cooler. We've got some cups. We've got some J2 candy bars. We've got some coffee, coffee scoops and things like that. So when you signed in, the Carolyn knows how you signed in and what number you signed in on. And so you already have received a number. So I am going to choose lucky number 9 to win this. So stay on there. Carolyn's gonna talk to you. And I think we have a buzzer beater question here. Let me get to that one. Came in right before the bell. Okay. So the question is, in a 1991 condo, has leaking water through parking garage roof? Yes. So the parking garage, typically you've got, 1 or 2 levels or more of parking garage, and then you have building above it. So is there a patio or a common center space? That would be a plaza, we'd call it plaza deck, over that parking garage. So there's building space. If that leak is coming through under the building, then I'd be a little bit more interested in how is the water getting there. So is this a plumbing issue or some kind of drain that's backing up or something? But all those horizontal surfaces of your parking garage should have a waterproof membrane over it. We need to shed the water off of there. We need to get it off of there. It needs to be sloped to drain, just like think of it as a roof, because it is a roof. So it's the roof to the parking garage. And so those internal courtyards are often very tricky because there's landscape planners, there's all sorts of conduit that come up for landscape irrigation pipes or lighting or things like that, that the beautiful waterproofing has been done, and then the electrician comes and drills a hole through the membrane, and now water leaks around that conduit in that hole. So definitely something to keep an eye on and do a little bit more investigation around. Okay, so we had the lucky number giveaway. Now, dun, dun, dun. Yes, so we've got free and paid training. I talked about that. You can scan the QR code if you don't like to type. Otherwise, go to learn.j2consultants.com/resources and you'll find that. And if you want to listen to us while you are out and about, while you're commuting, find us on all the stations, Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube, etc. We have new episodes twice a month and all those platforms. So thank you for tuning in. See you next month. I gave you a homework assignment. Bring that to your board meeting, share it around, use the links we have in the chat. If you want to stay in touch with Carolyn, she can resend them to you. And there's some videos to watch, etc. So have a great fall, everybody. Thanks for watching.